Hoardganize Podcast. I am your host, professional organizer Rachel Seavey, and it's time to get organized. Hey collectors, today we are talking all about how normal people live. And if you're watching on YouTube, Star and I are using our quotation marks around the word normal. Okay. Do you ever wonder if you save as many bags as other people? What do you think a normal amount of makeup is? And do normal people have as many clothes as you? Do normal people have as much paperwork? What's with these normal people and how do they live such normal lives? Perhaps you feel like an oddball and you just assume that everybody lives these, television show type lifestyles where, there's no clutter around or. So I personally get asked all of the time, how many pair of shoes do I own, And I'm kind of a minimalist, so I kind of find it funny, especially when my hoarding clients ask me that, because a lot of them, they might have 100, 200 pairs of shoes. And I actually counted because I was just asked that question the other day, and I have 11 pairs of shoes, and that's boots, tennis shoes, sandals, dress-up shoes, a kind of a mixture of everything, just so everyone knows. But I'm not your poster child for normal. I might be organized, but I'm definitely not normal, for the record. So people ask me, how many jackets do you have? And what's the normal amount of jackets to own? And, to me, that sounds more of a question like, where do you live? Is it hot? Is it cold? I don't own a snow parka. I'm here in California. I only have a few jackets because we layer. So I just counted, have 5 jackets. But I also have like sweaters and I have cardigans and, so I think some of the questions that people ask me, when I think about it, it's more about climate and where they live. People ask me all the time, they say, oh my gosh, Rachel, have you ever seen this much stuff? Look at all the stuff in my house. And it's like, yeah. I actually have. I've worked on some severe cases, animal hoarding and things like that. So when people ask me if I've seen anything worse than their home, my answer is usually yes. Are other homes this bad? Yes. What are normal homes like? And so that's what I keep hearing this word normal. How do normal people live? You all love to just compare yourselves with others. And these are people that you don't even know. And you just assume that your house is the worst. And, then comes the shame. So my first suggestion is to stop thinking of all these things. Stop thinking about normal people, and how other people hypothetical people that you don't even know how they're living or how I'm living, because I'm certainly not normal. And where focus goes, energy flows. So it's way more productive to spend your energy planning your space, planning your time, than it is for you to compare yourself with these people. Every situation is different. I've worked with thousands of people in the field, and there really have been not 2 cases that were the same, and no homes were the same, no clients were the same. Now, very similar. A lot of people had similarities, or their homes had similarities. They were very much alike, but I've never met 2 people that were the same. Just in general, And so you've got to take your own account into your eyesight. There's really no such thing as normal. And let's be honest. If there really was such a thing as normal, I don't want any part of it. It sounds really boring. So I'm going to give you some tips on how I determine, the appropriate or a good amount of stuff is in somebody's home, and the way someone's house looks and the stuff in their home is, and the way that they choose to live is really, determined by many things, but there are some factors, just coming from an organizer standpoint, not really coming from like an emotional standpoint. There were three things that stood out to me that, I guess people that aren't normal do. So hopefully this is helpful. And again, I'm definitely not normal. So number one, you definitely want to take in account for the amount of space and storage space that you, my dear friend, personally have in your very own home. If you have a tiny kitchen in San Francisco and you have hardly any countertops, hardly any cupboard space, then you really shouldn't have as many items as somebody, with a large 5-bedroom, 2-story home. It makes sense. So, if you have a tiny kitchen and you don't know where to store, the 50 some odd bags that you have just floating around in there, because you don't have even enough storage really for your plates and stuff, then it's definitely time to evaluate the bags. People ask me all the time, so this is off the script, so hopefully I don't get on too much of a tangent. People ask me all the time, like, oh my gosh, you must hate bags. I don't hate bags at all. And I save bags for reasons as well. But I have a pantry, with a good size area for bags. And I also have a business where I can use a lot of the packaging and the bags and stuff that I get. I mean, a lot of times, like, I'm packing donations with paper bags, or I'm using my Amazon boxes for donations. If you've ever worked with me, you're like, oh, those girls got boxes at the wazoo. I mean, I literally looked at my garage yesterday and I was like, oh God, I got to clean this up because I have a big job coming up. And I think I've saved like every box that I've encountered for the last couple of months so that I could reuse them for donations. So I have a garage. I also have a business where I'm constantly moving boxes, and I find it wasteful to buy like brand new boxes just to send them off to the Goodwill, because they just break them down and recycle them. And so whenever I get packages or whenever I come across, clean boxes, I'm able to store them in my garage and they're not in the way. But I had to, flatten them and stuff. It was looking a little crazy in my garage. And we'll talk about that next, about, what your threshold is. But, I have a garage. A lot of you don't. Some of you guys might have a garage and you don't have space in it. Like I said, everybody's everybody's home is different and everybody's situation is different. And I can't believe I just admitted how many boxes I've been saving. But yeah, no, I save paper bags. I save plastic bags. I think it's wasteful. The single-use stuff drives me nuts. Yes, I grew up in the Bay Area. However, and again, moving on to number 2, you've got a threshold factor. How many is too much? Like I'm fine with the amount of boxes I had in my garage, but flattening them just gave me like a lot less anxiety because they just looked like they were taking over. But what is your threshold? That's number 2. Number 1 was your storage and space that you have in your personal home should reflect on how many items you own. And then number 2, what is your threshold? I mean, I literally feel my blood pressure rising when too much stuff accumulates. I mean, I have been known to go into my son's room and do a quick sweep. I get so agitated if there's like water bottles. He loves to do that to drive me nuts. I think he does it on purpose. But, I just can't handle it. Like I'm already kind of, you haven't noticed, a little bit high strung. So stuff like that actually is distracting for me, and so I like just clutter free, but I'm also a professional organizer, so my threshold is going to be different from yours. I mean, I don't like clutter. I like having a certain amount of dishes. I like, I'm very different, so my threshold is like as soon as I feel my blood pressure start to rise, I just handle it. So that's paperwork, that's laundry, but I literally have a feeling. So I don't know if you could tune into your body and say, like, how do I feel about this stuff around me? Because I start to feel it. And so I need to handle it. So that is my threshold. But, and I'm constantly managing, so people think, maybe they get more mail. Yeah, I know a lot of you subscribe to magazines and stuff, but I get a lot of mail too. I get junk mail. I get my son's homework incoming. Now we're doing the long distance learning. I mean, the threshold is, you also can't make excuses. So this is going to bring me on to tip number 3, where I find that time is a big factor in why people are disorganized. So I make time to stay organized. And like I was saying, I get lots of mail coming in. I get stuff coming in. It's not like I don't get groceries. It's not like I don't buy stuff. I definitely buy stuff, but I put it away. I make time to make the space so it has a home. So time is actually really crucial, and it can really work for you or it can work against you, because you could spend a lot of time thinking about getting organized and then never do it as well. So time is definitely something that I think you should work on. I'd say that most people don't schedule their cleaning or their organizing enough. They find an excuse. They find something better to do. Maybe they don't know where to start. I mean, there's so many reasons, but time is definitely an issue, and it's a trend, and it's something that I find that's definitely in common with the people that I work with. So, and we all have the same amount of hours in a day. I mean, some people have a lot of time, and no judgment, but they get nothing done at all because they'd rather watch TV, or they'd rather hang out with a friend, or go walk their dog, or read a book, and so time is something that you really want to take in account for. And you can't say, like, I certainly, and this is why I'm a stickler about it, I don't have a lot of time. I am constantly pushing myself to do more and more things. Like, I kind of overcommit myself, but I really like to maximize the time I have in a day. Because it's something that you don't get back, and so I just really like to maximize my days. So if you feel like you don't have enough time because you're so busy working or parenting or whatever you do, that's really not the issue. You've got to make the time. You could, for instance, wake up an hour earlier, or half an hour earlier, or 15 minutes earlier, or go to bed 15 minutes later, or, skip your television show that you're binge watching on Netflix, and really appropriate some time. And as I like to do, and it's an easy thing to do, you go on your cell phone or you go on your paper calendar and you write it in, like it's an appointment, and you really take it seriously and you honor it, and you continue to do it, even if it's just bit by bit. And you'll see that there'll actually be progress if you start making time to get the stuff done, because it's not going to do itself. I wish that I had some sort of Mary Poppins kind of trick for you guys, but unfortunately you have to make the time. And then when you have that time, you really have to savor it. Your time determines how you live. It really does. How you spend your time really does determine how you live. And how you live, a lot of the times right now determines how you feel. So it's just like this crazy cycle that you can't break out of. So definitely going to review these again. The first one was, you've got to evaluate your own space and your own storage for your own situation. And who cares what normal quote unquote people do in their home? It's irrelevant. It's a nasty distraction, and it's not going to get you anywhere but feeling shameful. Tip number 2 was threshold. Evaluate your threshold. At what point do you start feeling anxious or overwhelmed with your stuff? You could have been there a long time ago, but at what point does it happen? Are you okay with a cup or a butter knife in the sink overnight? Or do you like to get things done immediately? What is your threshold for stuff? I have a low threshold for clutter. And some of my clients, I mean, they hoard themselves out of their home and they're living in their car. And that's when they hit their threshold. Like, man, I can't even go into my home. And I'd have to say that most people are somewhere in between those two examples. And then the third thing, I'll repeat it again, is manage your time wisely when it comes to cleaning and organizing. You know, definitely make time for it. Definitely put in the work. And like I spoke about last week on my podcast, just break it down bit by bit. It doesn't matter if you don't get the whole thing done. Just do a little bit every day. You feel like you don't have time, make the time. Get up early, just do a little bit every day. Stay up late, miss that show. It's really what's going to make you happy, because most people are unhappy because they feel like their home should be a certain way and their home doesn't match that way that they think it should be. Okay? So we want to get you on track. I want you to live the life that you truly deserve. I want you to evaluate your space, your threshold, your time, and I want you to focus on what you need to do to accomplish your organizing tasks. And stop worrying about all those boring, ridiculous, normal people, because they really, really don't mean anything when it comes to your happiness. I would really like to take a moment and thank you all who've contacted me directly or on social media about, requests or suggestions. I've got some people that are interested in being interviewed and put on the podcast. I'm super excited. So I really, really do value your comments and your suggestions. I will definitely, a couple of people gave me some, microphone tips. I mean, as you know, I'm a single mom, business owner. I'm doing this in my house and producing it all by my house. So if you are like a sound expert and you want to give me some tips, I will tell you what kind of microphone I have and everything, because I feel like I'm kind of shouting sometimes. So it probably is my microphone. And then I'll be working on the outro music not being so loud somehow. I'll figure that one out too. If you are watching this on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment. Make sure that you're subscribed. Click that thumbs up button. You can find me on Instagram under Collector Care 1, on Facebook under Collector Care. I'm always posting stuff from out in the field, funny jokes, inspirational quotes, things like that, so you don't want to miss it. And until next time, collectors, happiness is a place between too little and too much, whether you're normal or not.